to isolate Tehran. Washington says it will collapse this regime, while Iran condemns the threats as economic terrorism. The latest escalation comes as the war approaches its sixth-month mark, with new measures expected next week. Also, more lined up on the show today.
Of course, on the other hand, at least 16 people have been killed in a massive overnight Russian missile and drone assault on Kiev and surrounding areas. Rescuers are searching through the rubble as President Volodymyr Zelensky urges Western allies to provide more Patriot air defense systems. And the attacks also triggered security responses in neighboring Poland, Romania, and Moldova. We'll be getting you all the latest on that and much more on World DNA. Let's begin with the headlines.
USS George Washington arrives in West Asia to relieve USS Abraham Lincoln after its record-long deployment. The move comes amid rising US-Iran tensions and concerns over the Lincoln's poor living conditions and sailors' mental health.
Maritime security agencies say a U.S.-sanctioned vessel seized in the Gulf of Aden after 6 armed men boarded the ship and forced it to change course towards Somalia. Semo tanker issued distress call as it was approached east of the Al Mukalla.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urges allies to support Washington's efforts to squash Iran's economy, saying countries must choose sides as President Trump threatens economic consequences for supporting Iran.
Janasena Party MP Gunmen Dramesh's son booked after his Aston Martin allegedly hit and killed 26-year-old woman near Hyderabad Mall. Police say he was driving rashly at a high speed.
Jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan moved to a hospital in Islamabad for medical tests on Supreme Court orders. His party confirms his arrival as heavy police security surrounded the facility.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky urges allies to supply Patriot missiles after Russian airstrikes killed 16 people and injured dozens around Kiev. He says Ukraine is ready to purchase the weapons.
Syrian Kurdish leader Mazloum Abdi says Kurdish civil, military and administrative institutions have been fully integrated into Syria's state structures, ending their autonomy bid. He says Kurds will now seek constitutional rights.
At least 51 people die after a boat capsizes in Nigeria's Sokoto state. Local residents say 46 bodies have been buried, with 5 more recovered, as rescue operations continue amid reports of overloading.
Asian markets opened low on Friday, tracking losses on Wall Street. Japan's Nikkei fell nearly 1%, while South Korea's Kospi and Kosdaq also declined. Australia's ASX 200 slipped modestly.
a top story on World DNA today. Pakistan's jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been moved from prison to a hospital in Islamabad for medical tests.
This follows a Supreme Court order to move him within 48 hours. Imran was transferred from Madhyala jail in Rawalpindi to Shifa International Hospital in Islamabad early Friday. The transfer was closely guarded.
Now, hundreds of police were deployed around the hospital with roads blocked as Khan supporters gathered outside.
For Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party, the hospital transfer is being viewed as more than a medical development. PTI has called the ruling a new ray of hope, but says it will still proceed with a nationwide march on September 27.
The 73-year-old has been in prison since August 2023. His lawyers and family have repeatedly raised concerns about his health, including serious vision loss in his right eye. Earlier, the government disputed claims that Iran needs urgent treatment and said that they would seek a review of the Supreme Court decision.
Supreme Court of Pakistan ne Sabak Wazir-e-Azam Imran Khan.
If a prisoner is taken to a private hospital for a medical examination, it could have implications for the prison population across the country, as thousands of prisoners suffer from various illnesses and medical complications.
The court also ordered access to a medical panel that includes Imran Khan's personal physician, weekly meetings with his family and twice weekly phone calls with his sons. The case will next be heard on September 16.
Imran Khan has remained at the center of Pakistan's political crisis since his ouster as Prime Minister in 2022. His arrest the following year triggered nationwide unrest and a major confrontation between his supporters and the military establishment. The PTI leader says the corruption and the other criminal cases against him are politically motivated. The government denies the accusation.
Now, Iran is facing heightened U.S. pressure, with Washington vowing to tighten economic sanctions and isolate Tehran.
Iran has condemned the move as economic terrorism. Washington is also expanding sanctions on Hezbollah and approving a $4.5 billion aircraft sale to Qatar. Meanwhile, a U.S.-sanctioned tanker has been hijacked in the Gulf of Aden and diverted towards Somalia.
Maritime security agencies say 6 armed men took control of the Seamal tanker and are directing it towards Somalia. The ship was sanctioned by the U.S. last year over alleged links to Iran's so-called shadow fleet. It was accused of transporting Iranian oil while using deceptive shipping practices. The incident comes amid a resurgence in piracy off the Somali coast, with several commercial vessels reportedly held hostage since April.
The Maritime incident comes as the U.S. ramps up its economic campaign against Iran. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent echoed Trump's warning, vowing to step up economic pressure on Tehran as the war approaches the 6-month mark. Urging China to join the campaign, Bessent said the U.S. will target countries and companies that continue to buy Iranian oil, transfer money, or conduct business with Iran.
So it is time for our allies and the rest of the world to make a decision, and we are going to squash the economy of this murderous regime, which that will curtail their ability to project power through their proxies. We are confident that everyone wants the Strait reopened and for energy prices to come back down. And sir, keep in mind that the Chinese get 50%, 50, the other energy from the Gulf, so it would do them a big service to get with the program.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has rejected the U.S. threats, calling them economic terrorism. In a post on X, Araghchi said the U.S. campaign threatens the global economy and national sovereignty. He also accused the U.S. of using the so-called economic D-Day to divert attention from its own debt and rising interest cost.
In Iraq, Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf has visited Karbala for a ceremony marking 40 days since the burial of Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Ghalibaf also met Iraqi officials in Baghdad and called for greater cooperation between the two countries.
We have a clear agenda to enhance the security and stability of the two countries, keep foreign interference at bay, and develop projects that can help improve the lives of our two peoples.
Furthermore, the U.S. has announced new sanctions against an alleged Hezbollah financing network, highlighting the group's close ties to Iran's Revolutionary Guards. The sanctions target 10 people accused of moving cash to Hezbollah through couriers across Lebanon, Turkey, the UAE, as well as Iran.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has approved a potential $4.5 billion sale of up to 4 KC-46A refueling aircraft to Qatar, including missile warning systems. Qatar, a key mediator between the U.S. and Iran, says the deal will strengthen its defense capabilities and cooperation with U.S. and allied forces.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm very happy and honored.
Now, France, Italy, Britain, and Germany are stepping up pressure on Israel over its settlement plans in the occupied West Bank.
These four countries are urging Israel to scrap a major housing project in the sensitive E1 area, warning it could undermine prospects for a future Palestinian state. The move comes as Gaza's humanitarian crisis deepens. The latest international pressure centers on Israel's E1 settlement project just east of Jerusalem. Israel has opened bidding for more than 1,200 homes in the area as part of a wider plan for around 3,400 housing units. France, Italy, Germany and Britain have jointly called for the plans to be withdrawn immediately and for Israel to halt settlement expansion in the West Bank.
The four governments have also warned businesses against bidding for the construction tenders, saying they could risk involvement in serious breaches of international law. The E1 area is particularly sensitive because it lies between Jerusalem and the Israeli settlement of Ma'ale Adumim. The United Nations says and has warned that construction there could threaten the territorial continuity required for a future Palestinian state.
Israel has also rejected the criticism British Foreign Secretary Ed Miliband demanded an end to the project, while London summoned Israel's charge d'affaires Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar hit back, even accusing Britain of blaming Israel while ignoring Palestinian extremism. He said Israel would defend its rights, interests and people. Britain has also warned it could impose sanctions on individuals involved in settlement expansion. The latest tender covers around one-third of the planned E1 development, with bids due in October, shortly before Israel's scheduled elections.
The diplomatic dispute comes as a humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues. The United Nations says Palestinian civilians, including children, are still being killed and injured in Israeli airstrikes, shelling and gunfire. The UN says the remains of 50 Palestinians, including 19 children, have recently been recovered from beneath the rubble and buried in Gaza City. Families carried the remains through the streets devastated by the war, with some saying they had waited years to recover their loved ones. The United Nations says efforts to clear rubble and recover bodies are being hampered by shortages of heavy machinery, spare parts and other supplies.
Now, the UN estimates that around 94% of Gaza's 2.1 million people need shelter and basic household assistance. Many families are living in tents or makeshift shelters, while shortages are raising concerns ahead of the coming cold and rainy season. The UN is also calling for an independent investigation into the killing of 5-year-old Palestinian girl Hind Rajab and her family. Israel has announced a criminal investigation into these deaths.
Meanwhile, efforts to revive a fragile Gaza ceasefire appear to be stalling. The war triggered by the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel has killed more than 73,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza's health ministry. With fighting continuing and settlement expansion drawing fresh international condemnation, pressure on Israel is growing on both the diplomatic and humanitarian fronts.
Ukrainian authorities say Russian bombardments killed at least 16 people in the capital Kyiv and surrounding areas overnight.
With Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urging a global response to Moscow's escalation of the four-year war. The ballistic missiles that Moscow increasingly fires at Kyiv fly up to thousands of kilometers per hour and reach the capital within minutes of an air raid warning. The first explosions rang out over Kyiv less than 3 minutes after the official warning late night, leaving locals basically no time to reach a shelter.
Rescuers in Kyiv sifted through the rubble of destroyed buildings, including a damaged children's hospital, while grieving families watched as bodies were pulled out of an apartment block.
Kyiv has struggled to intercept the salvos of ballistic missiles, which can only be effectively shot down by U.S.-designed Patriot air defense systems. The country has repeatedly appealed to its allies for additional support as Russia steps up its strikes, firing a record number of missiles in July. This is according to Ukrainian Air Force data. Now, Zelensky said in his evening address that Ukraine needs missiles for the Patriots.
We need missiles for the Patriots, something that only our partners can provide. At every level, we are making it clear to them both our need and the fact that we know our partners can meet this need. We are not talking about gifts. This is about Ukraine's readiness to purchase weapons. It is vital that decisions are taken, the relevant political decisions by our partners, and first and foremost in the United States.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned Russia's large-scale missile and drone attack on Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities, calling for urgent de-escalation, an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, and a just, sustainable peace.
The Secretary General strongly condemns today's large-scale missile and drone attack by the armed forces of the Russian Federation on the capital city of Kyiv, as well as other urban centers in Ukraine. These attacks reportedly killed and injured dozens of civilians and caused extensive damage to civilians and civilian infrastructure. This is yet another tragic example of the alarming patterns of escalating strikes against populated areas.
Furthermore, Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said a Russian drone debris killed one person and injured 3 others in Holosevsky district. The incident came hours after Russian airstrikes killed 16 people in Kyiv and the surrounding region.
Meanwhile, Finland's defense ministry said it suspected that a Russian aircraft had violated its airspace on Thursday. Defense Minister Antti Hakanen said that every suspected violation of airspace is taken seriously, adding that an investigation is underway.
Now, there have been a series of such incidents in Finland, which share a 1,340-kilometer border with Russia. Finland suspects 2 Russian military aircraft of having entered Finnish airspace in May and June and summoned the Russian chargé d'affaires at the time. The country has been on high alert since the Kremlin sent troops into Ukraine in February 2022. Now, since the last few days, U.S. President Donald Trump's special assistant, Natalie Harp, has been at the center of a political row.
The mystery around her influence is deepening. It has now come to light that she worked at the White House without security clearance for over a year. Harp is perceived to be the ultimate gatekeeper to Trump and has been often spotted with him in the last few months. She was also one of the few persons who have accompanied Trump on a military jet on the way back from the NATO summit in Turkey.
According to American news portal MS Now, Harp repeatedly declined to seek a routine security clearance normally obtained by White House staffers. And the reason for this remains a mystery, however. After concerns were expressed by security officials, the U.S. president himself reportedly intervened. she finally received the clearance, only in the last few months after filling out a form which collects and probes background information, including past residences, financial history, and foreign contacts. Harp also received multiple extensions to complete the necessary paperwork.
Now, the question is, why does this matter? According to the report, Harp works very closely with Trump, which gives her access to the most sensitive information more than other senior White House officials. The report also claimed that there have been subtle but unsuccessful moves to limit her alleged round-the-clock access to Trump.
When asked about the latest revelation, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt stressed that Harp has a security clearance like everyone else and is a loyal member of Trump's team.
Now let's look at how Harp became acquainted with Trump in the first place. In 2015, it all began. The 35-year-old California resident completed her MBA. 5 years later, she joined a news channel named One America News Network, where she worked as a presenter for 2 years. In 2022, she joined Trump as his personal secretary. After assuming office in January last year, Trump announced her as his special as well as executive assistant. As per publicly available records, drawing an annual salary of $150,000.
Now, their association has also come under the lens, with reports indicating that she wrote a slew of adoring letters to Trump in the past, with the U.S. president yet to explicitly clear the air on his special assistant's influence. The speculations are likely to continue.
Now, a joke about a patriot song has put one of China's biggest comedy stars under official investigation.
A popular comedian, actor, and television host is reportedly being investigated after performing a modified version of a well-known Chinese patriotic song during a show in Wuhan in July.
The song celebrates Chinese guerrilla fighters who fought Japanese forces during the Second Sino-Japanese War, fought from 1937 to 1945. The conflict remains central to China's official narrative of national struggle and sacrifice.
Now, in 2019, the song was included in a list of 100 songs selected by the Communist Party's Central Committee to mark the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China.
According to Chinese media reports and videos posted online, he changed part of the song's lyrics and added jokes, including lines in which he appeared to pray to Buddha. Wuhan officials reportedly said Guo had secured approval for his performance, but had not disclosed that he would alter the lyrics.
The city's Culture and Tourism Bureau launched an investigation after receiving a complaint. Officials are reportedly examining whether Guo violated rules requiring performers to submit their material for approval before taking the stage.
In the 2010s, Chinese media reportedly praised him for attracting younger audiences to the genre. Comedy has reportedly also provided a rare space for indirect criticism of contemporary life in China, but that space is narrowing as authorities tighten controls over artistic expression.
Now, under President Xi Jinping, officials have reportedly pushed artists to align their work with Communist Party priorities and have tightened scrutiny of material seen as challenging official political or historical narratives.
In 2021, China made insulting or defaming national heroes and martyrs a criminal offense, and Guo is not alone.
Right. In 2023, a Chinese comedy company was fined about $2 million after a comedian compared two stray dogs chasing a squirrel to the Chinese military. All right, well, we'll be slipping into a very short break on World Data News updates. Will follow on the other side. We bring you some visuals in the meantime of some images that have been making headlines from across the world. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. You're watching WION World is One.
your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout.
So much for staying with us. You're watching WION The World is One. This is World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar, and my colleague Kripa. Let's begin with the headlines.
Former Army Chief General Manoj Narwane says Pakistan remains a terrorism-driven security threat, but China will be India's main long-term competitor. He calls for strong military deterrence and dialogue without Beijing.
U.S. imposes new sanctions on Hezbollah financing network, citing the group's close ties to Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Washington also updates Hezbollah's terror designation amid Israel-Lebanon negotiations.
USS George Washington arrives in West Asia to relieve USS Abraham Lincoln after its record-long deployment. The move comes amid rising US-Iran tensions and concerns over the Lincoln's poor living conditions and sailors' mental health.
Finland suspects the Russian aircraft violated its airspace, prompting an investigation. The incident follows similar suspected violations in May and June. Finland shares over a 1,300-kilometer border with Russia.
United Nations calls for a prompt, independent and transparent investigation into the 2024 killing of 5-year-old Palestinian girl Hind Rajab and her family in Gaza after Israel announces a criminal investigation.
Jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan moved to a hospital in Islamabad for medical tests on Supreme Court orders. His party confirms his arrival as heavy police security surrounded the facility.
.7 magnitude earthquake strikes southern Peru with 3 people reported injured, at least 22 homes, 6 schools and 12 medical centers affected as the emergency teams assess damage in Andean areas.
Hundreds of Tunisians protest in the capital against President Kais Saied, citing power cuts, drinking water shortages, and political repression. Demonstrators also demand release of political detainees amid rising public frustration.
Canada and the US are very close to a trade deal, a senior Canadian official said on Thursday after talks in Washington, but more work remains with a new 50% US tariff on Canadian goods set to take effect on Saturday.
Now, in news from India, the son of Jan Sena Party Rajya Sabha MP Lingamanani, Ramesh, has been booked after an Aston Martin allegedly being driven by him hit and killed a 26-year-old woman in Madhapur.
The incident took place on 16th of August near Inorbit Mall. According to police, the victim, Varati Mukhi, was returning to her workplace after going out for lunch with a colleague. As she attempted to cross the road near the mall, she was allegedly struck by the Aston Martin. Police say the car was being driven at high speed and in a rash and negligent manner. She suffered severe head injuries and was taken to the hospital in the same vehicle where doctors declared her dead.
Now, police have identified the driver as Lingamaneni Sanjush, son of Rajya Sabha MP Lingamaneni Ramesh of the Jan Sena Party. A case has been registered under Section 1061 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita relating to causing death by a rash or negligent act. Police have served a notice on Sanjush. No arrests have been made so far yet, and police say that the offence is bailable and carries a maximum punishment of less than 7 years.
The police investigation is now focused on establishing the circumstances surrounding the crash. The vehicle has been identified through its registration number, and police have said the accused was subjected to medical testing.
Now, this 26-year-old woman has lost her life, and the investigation into the fatal crash is continuing, with the accused being the son of the sitting Rajya Sabha MP. The case has also attracted considerable public attention. The police investigation will determine the circumstances of the crash and any further legal action.
Moving on now, in a tragic incident, a 6-year-old boy died after collapsing inside a classroom at a private school in Visakhapatnam.
The CCTV footage reportedly showed a teacher hitting the child shortly before he collapsed, and the deceased has been identified as Pranay Teja, a student of Little Garden School in one town area of Visakhapatnam. And according to the child's family, he was allegedly beaten by a teacher over incomplete homework. The family further claims the child became frightened following the teacher's actions and that this led to his collapse. However, there is no official confirmation of a medical cause of his death at this stage.
The child was subsequently taken to a hospital where doctors declared him dead. His body has been sent for post-mortem examination to determine the exact cause of death. The police have registered a case and launched a probe into the circumstances surrounding the incident.
Just 5 minutes back, I came to know that just some 6 years old child, old boy, got unconscious and admitted into the hospital, nearby hospital, and they suggested to take the boy to KGH. When this and the boy has been hospital authorities confirmed that the boy has been brought dead.
Family members and relatives staged a protest following the death and demanded stringent action against those responsible. The family has also alleged that physical punishment may have been used against the other children at the school, a claim that remains to be investigated. All right, shifting our focus to other global news, Bangladesh has a new president. Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has been elected the country's 23rd president.
This has been done through a presidential poll that was held after 35 long years. The voting took place last afternoon at the Jatiya Sangsad, with 349 lawmakers casting their ballots to choose Bangladesh's next president between BNP candidate Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir and the Jamaat-led 11-party opposition LDP candidate Colonel Oli Ahmed.
Now, 255 votes were in favor of Mirza Fakhrul, while 88 votes were cast for Colonel Ahmed. The victory of Mirza Fakhrul was expected since the BNP holds a 247 majority in the parliament as opposed to 90 of the opposition alliance, while others are independents or allies of the BNP.
Now, as per Article 10(1) of the 1991 Presidential Election Act of Bangladesh, the president was elected by votes cast by members of the parliament. The CEC requested MPs to sign their full names while casting ballots. Acting President Hafizuddin Ahmed cast his vote, who was then followed by Prime Minister Tariq Rahman and the Chief Whip Nurul Islam Moni. Leader of the opposition and Jamaat Chief Shafiqur Rahman, Opposition Chief Whip Nahid Islam and National Citizen Party MPs also joined in.
Again, now let's tell you about Mirza Fakhrul Alamgir. He was born on 26 January 1948. Fakhrul spent his early time in Takurgaon town. He later obtained bachelor's and master's degree in economics from the University of Dhaka. He also taught at Takurgaon Government College and served as chairman of the Takurgaon municipality in 1988 as an independent candidate before entering national politics. He joined BNP in early 1990s and contested his first national elections in 1991. The next year, he was appointed president of Takurgaon District BNP unit. He was a member of the parliament for Takurgaon 1 constituency between 2001 and 2006. In fact, his father served here several times as MP as well. He is the incumbent Secretary General of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party since 2016.
Now, in 2018, he was nominated as BNP candidate in the same constituency and Bogra 6 constituencies and was elected in Bogra 6 constituency. After failing to take oath, the Election Commission declared his seat vacant and a by-election was held there. Mirza Fakhrul Islam was born into a political family. His two uncles have served as BNP politicians as well. The new president will have a tenure of 5 years as head of the state with a monthly salary of 120,000 Bangladeshi taka, which is tax-free. The Famine Early Warning Systems Network, known as the FEWS net, has been taken offline following sweeping cuts by the Trump administration.
Now, for nearly 4 decades, the system provided detailed, color-coded maps tracking hotspots around the world. Its website now simply states the site and its data are unavailable. The network was run by a private contractor and funded by the U.S. aid. It combines satellite imagery from NASA, climate data from NOAA, And information on food prices and agriculture outputs to forecast famine 6 to 9 months in advance. Government and aid groups worldwide relied on it to decide whether or where to send emergency assistance.
Former USAID chief Andrew Natsios said that losing Few's net is likely having a truck full of grain without a steering wheel, since its maps told aid agencies exactly where to go. Federal records show the program cost about $64 million last year, a fraction of the $15 billion the U.S. spends annually on humanitarian aid. The shutdown comes as broader disruptions continue to hit U.S. food assistance.
A February report from USAID's Inspector General found nearly $490 million worth of food aid stranded at ports and in warehouses at risk of spoiling. The Inspector General was dismissed the day after the report was released.
The network was created in 1985 after the Ethiopian famine killed nearly 1 million people. This prompted President Reagan to demand a warning system. Dave Harden, who oversaw the program under President Obama, said that its forecasts helped preposition aid during Ethiopia's 2016 drought, preventing the mass deaths seen 3 decades earlier.
Now, deep in the heart of our galaxy, a cosmic race has shattered all known speed limits.
That's right. Scientists have spotted a daredevil star sprinting right on the brink of total destruction. The star, named S301, was detected with the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope Interferometer. Here is the incredible story of the fastest star ever recorded in human history.
Look up at the night sky and the universe seems frozen in time. We know Earth races around the sun, but we imagine the distant stars stand still. But in reality, they do not. Space is a wild, turbulent arena where trillions of fiery giants hurtle through the dark at breathtaking speeds. Nowhere is that motion more extreme than at the center of the Milky Way. Lurking there is Sagittarius, a star, a supermassive black hole packed with the mass of 4 million suns. Its gravitational pull is so violent that nothing escapes its grip, not even light. Astronomers peering into this chaotic core have just uncovered something unprecedented. They call it S301. It is a rogue star caught in a deadly cosmic dance, skimming closer to the monster black hole than anything ever seen before.
Now we have discovered a star which comes 10 times closer to the black hole than our current best star. And 10 times closer. It's hard to imagine a factor 10. Maybe the best way to think about it is imagine your salary goes up by a factor 10 all of a sudden. That's a huge improvement. And that's the same type of improvement we are getting here. Our measurements will be better because we come closer to the black hole. We get closer to the object of interest. And so if we feel better the forces of the black hole, we more precisely can see the gravitational effects. And this is why this star is so wonderful.
As S301 plunges toward the abyss, the black hole slingshots it forward with terrifying force. The star accelerates to a mind-boggling 25,000 kilometers per second. That is more than 8% of the speed of light. At this rate, it could travel from Earth to the Moon in just 15 seconds. This is not just a new speed record, it is a golden scientific breakthrough. By tracking the extreme orbit of S301, researchers can finally measure the spin of our central black hole. It will push Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity to its absolute limits. proving once again that the universe is far wilder than we ever dared to imagine. And we are only slowly starting to realize the little-known wonders of our cosmic neighborhood.
In Gaza, a small seed bank is trying to protect something essential to daily life, and that is the ability to grow food locally.
Now, after the war destroyed much of the agriculture sector, farmers are turning to heritage seeds to keep producing crops, even as supplies remain scarce and farming costs soar. Take a look at our next report for more details on this story.
In a makeshift tent in Deir al-Bala, a team is carefully storing and documenting local seeds. The Karara seed bank was completely destroyed during the war in 2023, with many seed varieties lost. After repeated displacement, the team rebuilt it using basic materials, including plastic and glass containers and storage bags. The stakes are high for consumers. Before the war, Gaza produced enough fresh vegetables to meet its own needs and exported about 1/3 of its vegetable production. Today, the agricultural sector is estimated to meet no more than 10% of Gaza's vegetable needs. That means greater reliance on imports, while farmers face shortages of seeds and other inputs.
Before the war, Gaza was a prominent producer of vegetables. We were self-sufficient in fresh vegetables, and Gaza used to export 1/3 of its fresh vegetable production to external markets. The war and its consequences have brought the agricultural sector to a point where, even under the most optimistic estimates, it cannot meet more than 10% of Gaza's vegetable needs.
The seed bank is focusing on heritage seeds, which can be replanted season after season. According to the seed bank, commercial hybrid seeds may produce only 30 to 40% of their original yield when replanted. Heritage seeds, by contrast, can produce around 80 to 90% of the same yield repeatedly. That makes them particularly valuable when farmers cannot reliably access new agricultural supplies.
Commercial seeds are hybrid seeds. They are hybridized and produce a high yield only once. If you plant them again, they may produce only 30 to 40% of their original yield. Heirloom seeds provide continuity. They produce 80 to 90% of the same yield repeatedly. That is why we have relied on heirloom seeds.
For farmers, the seed bank is more than a storage project. It is a way to preserve local varieties, reduce dependence on imported inputs, and keep food production going on what remains of Gaza's agricultural land. For consumers, the goal is just as basic: more locally grown food and a better chance of keeping fresh produce available in a territory where the agricultural sector has been devastated. These seeds are being treated as a small but critical reserve for the future. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
Australia has passed a new law that will force big tech companies to pay millions of dollars, and that is if they fail to strike commercial deals with local news publishers.
This law is designed to make tech platforms share more of the revenue they earn from news content, which helps attract users and advertising to their services. The news bargaining incentive will impose a levy of 2.5% on affected companies' Australian advertising revenue unless they reach agreements with news publishers. The scheme applies to major platforms including Meta, Google, TikTok and LinkedIn, provided they have significant search or social media services in Australia, and more than $178 million in local advertising revenue.
The value of these deals will then be offset against the levy. Spending with large news organizations gets a 150% offset, while deals with small and medium-sized publishers get a 200% offset. But no single deal can account for more than 25% of the company's total levy liability.
The Australian government says news content creates value for tech platforms by helping drive user engagement and advertising revenue. The new law is intended to push platforms towards commercial agreements and direct more money towards Australian news organizations and journalism. The government said the message to tech platforms was clear. Commercial deals must be finalized before the end of their financial reporting period to count towards the offset. The news bargaining incentive comes as Australia continues to tighten regulation of big tech. The Indian women's hockey team are through to the second stage of the World Cup.
India's security draw against England in the Netherlands to join their men's counterparts in the last 8 after a draw against Olympic silver medalist China and an emphatic 6-1 victory over South Africa. India needed only a draw to guarantee qualification, while higher-ranked England needed a victory. And India held on for a 0-0 result to qualify for the last 8. And the goalkeeper, Abhijit Devi, was the star of the show as she made crucial saves in the dying moments to ensure the score remains goalless. There were celebrations all around in the Indian camp after the final whistle.
India finished second in Pool D, thereby joining table toppers China in the next round. India finished the pool unbeaten, despite having the likes of world number 4 China and world number 7 England in the group. India faced world number 1 and defending champions Netherlands in the first match of the second pool phase on Friday. The second stage of the tournament sees the 8 qualified teams divided into 2 further groups. Points will be carried forward and the top 2 teams from each of the 2 groups in the second stage will qualify for the semi-finals.
All right, moving on to some entertainment news. The child star of the Baby Shark dance video, which is the most watched video on YouTube in YouTube history, has returned to the stage as a K-pop singer.
This comes after a decade. The massive success of Baby Shark dance, Park Geun-rung, the actor who starred in the video when he was just 7, has made his solo K-pop debut. He has now released his first single. His debut is under the name Baby Shark Boy, and his new single is titled Wave. It opens with the familiar Baby Shark melody before shifting into an electropop sound to which he contributed lyrics. Park feels that his single is the start of a longer musical journey. He hopes to show different sides of himself through music as well as other kinds of content. As for the viral Baby Shark, the catchy song is about a family of sharks. It was released in 2016 and has since chalked up to 17.2 billion views. It has been played at the White House and praised by US President Donald Trump, Tesla CEO Elon Musk and other celebrities, while prompting parodies and an unmatchable dance craze.
All right, with that, we caught up after World Day for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION The World. Do stay tuned.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
No matter what what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout. French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who gave France its greatest footballing memory takes charge of its future. A national hero is back home, this time in the dugout. In the last 12 months, India's defense technology has taken some big steps forward. INS Mahendragiri is bringing stealth, sensors and networked systems to the sea. Rustam is giving the forces an unmanned eye that can stay aloft for hours. And
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Speed News, where we get to all the news from across the world in a matter of 30 minutes. Let's begin. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urges allies to support Washington's efforts to squash Iran's economy, saying countries must choose sides as President Donald Trump threatens economic consequences for supporting Iran. Bessent vowed to step up economic pressure on Tehran as the war approaches the 6-month mark. He also urged China to join the campaign, warning that the U.S. will target countries and companies that continue to buy Iranian oil, transfer money, or conduct business with Iran. The USS George Washington has arrived in West Asia to relieve the USS Abraham Lincoln after the Lincoln's record-long deployment of more than 250 days. The rotation comes amid rising U.S.-Iran tensions and growing concerns over conditions aboard the Lincoln, including supply shortages, crew exhaustion, and mental health strains. Maritime security agencies say a U.S.-sanctioned tanker has been hijacked in the Gulf of Aden after 6 armed men boarded the vessel and forced it towards Somalia. The Simal tanker sent a distress call after being approached east of Al-Mukalla in Yemen. The ship was sanctioned by Washington over alleged links to Iran's shadow fleet and accusations of transporting Iranian oil using deceptive shipping practices. The incident comes amid a resurgence in Somali piracy. Syrian Kurdish leader Mazloum Abdi has said that the integration of Kurdish civil, military, and administrative institutions into Syria's state structure is complete. The announcement follows months of negotiations under a January agreement with Damascus that called for the full integration of Kurdish institutions into the Syrian state. The move marks the end of the Kurdish self-rule project and a new phase in relations with Damascus. Abdi said Kurds will now focus on securing their rights through Syria's constitutional framework. A 35-year-old Albany woman has been charged with supporting ISIS over an alleged plot to bomb the New York State Capitol and target lawmakers. Federal authorities say Jessica Bowie conducted surveillance of the Capitol, sought an explosive device and a handgun, and pledged allegiance to ISIS. The FBI says the alleged plot was foiled before any attack could take place. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has said that there was no specific credible threat to the Capitol. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged allies to provide more Patriot missiles after a massive Russian air attack on Kyiv and the surrounding region killed at least 16 people and wounded dozens. Zelensky said Ukraine is ready to buy the interceptors as the country faces a critical shortage of air defense missiles. He said more Patriot missiles are needed to protect civilians from Russian ballistic attacks. Hundreds of Tunisians have protested in the capital, Tunis, against President Kais Saied, citing power cuts, drinking water shortages, and political repression. Demonstrators also demanded the release of political detainees as public frustration grows over living conditions and the government's policies. A Bolivian court has suspended the pre-trial detention hearing for Fernando Cremedo, an advisor to Argentine President Javier Milei, who is under investigation over the alleged attempted femicide of his former partner, Nadia Beler. Beler's lawyer says a forensic analysis of Cremedo's phone found conversations allegedly discussing the elimination of Beler. Prosecutors are seeking formal charges and pre-trial detention at Bolivia's maximum security Conchocoro prison. Thousands of Argentine workers, unions, and residents have marched in Buenos Aires to protest a rising household debt and the growing struggle to make ends meet. The protest was part of a march of the Indebted March towards the Economy Ministry, carrying banners and chanting against the country's economic conditions. Activists say millions of Argentines are turning to credit to cover basic expenses, with many falling behind on repayments. Protesters say high interest rates and easy access to digital loans are pushing more families deeper into debt. Dozens of Waorani indigenous people have marched in Ecuador's Amazonian city of Puyo, demanding the permanent closure of oil block 43 IIT in the Yasuni Reserve. The protests mark 3 years since Ecuadorians voted to end oil extraction in the block. The Waorani says the government has failed to fully implement the referendum and are calling for an end to oil extraction in their territory. The government has said that the block's 247 wells will be decommissioned over 5 years and 5 months. First Lady Melania Trump has announced a new partnership with IndyCar, Fox Corporation, Indiana University and Purdue University to expand educational and career opportunities for young people aging out of foster care. The initiative called Fostering the Future aims to help young people access college education, build careers and achieve financial independence. IndyCar says the partnership would give foster youth opportunity to build careers and become future leaders. The partnership comes ahead of the Freedom 250 Grand Prix in Washington, D.C. on 22nd and 23rd August, part of the U.S. 250th anniversary celebrations. Jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been moved from Adala jail to Shifa International Hospital in Islamabad for medical examination following Supreme Court order. The court had ordered his transfer within 48 hours and directed that he be examined by a medical panel, including his personal physician. Khan's party says his health has deteriorated in prison, including significant vision loss in the right eye. The government says medical reports have not shown a condition requiring urgent treatment. He arrived at the hospital under heavy police and rangers security. Jan Sena Party MP Lingamaneni's Ramesh's son, Sandrash, has been booked after his Aston Martin allegedly hit and killed a 26-year-old mall employee in Hyderabad. Police say the car was being driven rashly and at a high speed when it hit Bharati Mukhi as she crossed the road near In-Orbit Mall on 16th of August. Police have registered a case for causing death by rash or negligent driving. No arrest has been made as of Friday morning. Former Army Chief General Manoj Narvane has said Pakistan remains a security threat, largely because of its continued support for terrorism. But he has said China will be India's main long-term competitor across political, economic, trade and military fields. Narvane has called for strong military deterrence while saying India should resolve differences with Beijing through dialogue and diplomatic channels. He also said India must keep its armed forces prepared to deter any potential misadventure. At least 51 people have died after a boat capsized in Nigeria's Sokoto state. Local residents say 46 bodies have been buried and 5 more recovered as rescue operations continue. Authorities say the boat may have been overloaded, with search efforts still underway for possible survivors. Most of the passengers were reportedly women and children heading to farmland across the river. Heavy rain flooded parts of New York City, including a subway station, as the city faced the threat of flash flooding. Video showed water pouring from the ceiling into a subway platform while passengers walked through puddles as the train waited to depart. Heavy rain also caused difficult travel conditions on city streets, with traffic and pedestrians navigating the downpour. New York City Emergency Management had urged residents to prepare for possible flash flooding and significant travel disruptions. Floodwater swept through the northern Italian town of Isola di Fondra after a swollen stream overflowed amid severe weather. Firefighters evacuated around 250 people from nearby campsite as rising water and the threat of a landslide raised safety concerns. Emergency crews and heavy machinery were deployed to deal with the flooding. Italy's Civil Protection Department issued an orange weather alert for Lombardia on Friday, warning of further flooding risks. Chilean authorities have deployed Army and Navy personnel to support cleanup operations following mudslides and flooding in the northern city of Tocopilla. More than 1,000 people remained in temporary shelters across Antofagasta region, with nearly half in Tocopilla. The mudslides damaged homes, vehicles, and roads, while military personnel and volunteers worked to clear mud and debris. President Jose Antonio Cast visited the affected areas as authorities reported no deaths or missing people. Oil prices were a little changed Friday, but headed for a second straight weekly gain as the U.S.-Iran conflict continued disrupting West Asia supplies. Brent rose to $93.82 a barrel, while U.S. crude slipped to $86.78. Brent gained over 7% this week, and U.S. crude more than 8%. Disruptions around the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly one-fifth of global